Hey guys, welcome to another video. I've just come down to a local bit of bushland near my place and just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a rundown on the setup and some recent modifications that I've done. I'm pretty happy with the setup at the moment, and there's not too much more I'm gonna get done. But in saying that, there's always something else. I've got a couple of things in mind, but they're nothing major. Like I say, I'm pretty happy with it now, and I feel like I've spent enough money on the car as it is. So as you guys know, I do run a Toyota Hilux. It's a 2013 model. It's an SR5 3 litre D4D. Now I recently just got a 2-inch lift kit and 3-inch in the front, so it's 2-inch struts with an inch strut spacer in the front, and 2-inch in the back with the Tough Dog suspension with the airbags for towing. And to be honest, it wasn't my first sort of choice. Hadn't done much research on the Tough Dog, but so far it seems to be going pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. The recent trip I did to Exmouth, it was very smooth. The car rides level now rather than tilting forward, obviously with the 3-inch in the front. And when I put the boat on the back, I have that availability to sort of adjust the air pressure in them airbags. But I haven't yet changed the airbag pressures. They're still running at 60 psi. But yeah, I'll give you a bit of a rundown of the car. So yeah, the most recent upgrade that I have done is the lift, and probably the second most recent thing is the whole 12-volt electrical setup in the back. Now, I've ran a few different sort of electrical setups in the past, and I'll run you through why I changed in a second, but it just really wasn't working for the sort of traveling and sort of remote travel that I do. But we'll start down the front at the bull bar. So at the front, we just run the King's spotties and lights. We also have a light bar up there, which is also King's. A lot of people knock the King's gear, and to be honest, I've had a few King's products that haven't been great, but I honestly cannot knock the LEDs in these things. Another modification that you'll see is that I do run a winch. Now, although the sticker is gone, it is also a King's winch. And to be fair, I haven't actually used it all that much. The one time I did use it was in the power lines down some of the pretty rough tracks. There was a guy there in our group that was on the verge of rolling his car, so we just hooked the winch up just as a sort of anchor point so he could get out safely rather than rolling the vehicle. But yeah, can't really say too much about it, except for the fact that it worked for that particular incident, and it worked a dream. So yeah, if you're not planning on using your winch too often, I guess obviously having a good one when you really need it would be good, but for me, I'm not looking at upgrading that because it's doing the job that I need it to do. Second, really third now, is the UHF that I run. So on the front, I've had a few of these aerials. I've had sort of like the cheaper ones where they're just like a little thin, I'm pretty sure they're fiberglass inside those cheap ones, and I seem to always snap them, or they end up like wobbling that much that they just get in my way and they're quite annoying. So I recently changed the broken one over to the GME 2.1 dBi. I currently don't have the 6.6. I probably should get it, to be quite honest, but I just haven't really needed to, because whenever I'm in a convoy, this one seems to work fine anyway, because we're quite close anyway. But there's plenty of videos online about the aerials, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't know enough about it, but the 2.1 sort of sends a signal more like up. It's more for like hilly terrain, dunes, mountains, that sort of thing. And then the 6.6, which is the longer one, sends a signal more like long distance. So for those highway driving sort of scenarios, like if you were broken down in the middle of nowhere, that would be quite handy to have, because you could radio to somebody, maybe like a truckie or somebody else on channel 40, that could maybe come and help you out. But in saying that, if you're still on the side of the road, somebody will pass you at some point, and you can still get hold of them with this. It just won't be as effective. You couldn't get them as far away as possible. But the GME antenna on the front is wired through to a uniden box in the car, and it works sweet. But maybe that is something down the line that I probably will change and just have it as a full GME setup. Going back to the King's products, I fairly recently changed over the rooftop tent. I had the King's sort of fold out rooftop tent, and I went through 3 of those. And the reason I went through 3 was the first one I bought, the under flooring of it started to bubble up, and I just didn't, obviously, you know, it was brand new, you know, I'd slept in it like 1 or 2 nights, and it was pretty hot, but obviously it's like faulty, so took it straight back. They were happy to change it, so I was quite happy with the customer service on that side. So they swapped it out for a second one, and I got home and was unboxing it, and everything that comes with that rooftop tent is inside of the rooftop tent when you get it. So you have to like unzip it, and when I went to unzip it, they'd actually stitched across the zipper, so I couldn't even open the zipper. So I rang them back up and went back down, and they swapped it out for the third one, which was a dream. Like, that one was sweet. I spent like 4 months down in Walpole in like pretty much constant rainy conditions, and it never once leaked water. So I'm actually pretty happy with it, but it was more so the big bag that you had to throw over the top, and the time it used to take just packing it down used to annoy me. So I wanted to change for a hard top, and 2 just for comfort really, and ease of packing up and setting up. So I went with the Drifter Stockton, and so far it's been so good. Can't really fault it. The only thing that sort of strikes me about this tent is the underneath of it. It's pretty dirty at the moment, but like under here, like that's just a bit of fabric, and pretty much like underneath there is actually the mattress. So that, like, it hasn't got wet yet and it isn't moldy yet, but I am surprised they haven't just put a piece of aluminium to completely close off that unit. But so far it is fine. I've washed it at the car wash and stuff, and it is doing fine. So I guess I'll have to update you once I've sort of spent a hell of a lot of the time in the rain with it, and then we'll see what happens with it. Another little modification that I did on my own was just the MaxTrax holders. I wasn't paying like $70 odd or something for what they ask for the brackets to hold the MaxTrax on the side, and when I actually looked into it, they weren't going to work. The brackets that they sell were to go into like a roof rack or something, or bolt to a roof rack, whereas I wanted it to bolt to the rooftop tent. So what I did was I just went to Bunnings and just bought some like aluminium bar, some little like box channel, and then just bought the actual MaxTrax like mounting bracket holders, and just sort of bolted it all through, and the bolts for the actual bracket run down the channels. So that was a pretty sweet little job that I did. I'm very happy with it. They're sturdy. Got a little padlock up there because people do tend to steal these. And actually, I haven't even used these yet. However, when I was up in Exmouth, there was a girl who went to move my car because we were in the water spearfishing, and she felt like she needed to get the Max Tracks out before the tide came in to get the cars out. So she's actually used them, but luckily she didn't spin the wheels. So they pretty much look brand new. So when I was sort of planning on changing setups, I went down to a shop. I won't mention this shop's name, but I went down to a shop to get advice because I obviously don't know enough myself about the whole 12-volt electrical batteries and DC chargers and all the rest of it that goes with it. So I just sort of went down there asking for a bit of advice and a bit of help. And the guys down at this particular shop, at the time I thought they were helpful, but I've come to realize there's actually better help on YouTube, to be quite honest. Now, when I went down to this particular shop, I told them I wanted to change my whole setup to lithium. What do I need? And this is the sort of touring, and this is the sort of stuff that I'm going to be doing. What is going to work best for me? And now these guys are technically like the professionals in the industry, so you'd think they'd give you the right advice. So this guy, I've got it here still. This guy told me to get a solar panel, a bigger solar panel than the 150 watt, because it wasn't putting in enough juice. So he told me to get a second solar panel, and then run a new solar controller. So I originally had just a King's solar controller and thought it was working fine. He was telling me that it wasn't. So he told me to upgrade to this, which is obviously the same brand as the solar panel and the battery. So I just, you know, went with it, happy days, wired it all up and everything. And then I kept looking on YouTube, and I was thinking to myself, well, I do a lot of driving, so why hasn't he sort of taken me down the route of the DC-DC chargers that everyone seems to run? So I went back down to the shop after I wired everything up and sort of spent a day or two just thinking. And it turned out that he actually didn't have any in stock. So he just basically sold me something that he had. So I sort of just left there and then did a bit more research myself about the DC-DC chargers. And what I found out is that the Enerdrive DC to DC chargers actually have a solar controller built in. So if I was to go down the route of getting a solar, the route of a DC to DC charger, this solar unit basically is no good to me because the DC to DC charger already has it inbuilt. So they wouldn't refund me my money as well. So I ended up just going to a different shop altogether and buying a DC to DC charger. I'm probably still going to use this in hindsight now because I'm going to probably put it on the boat, but that's a different story in itself. But yeah, so I ended up going to a different shop and buying a DC to DC charger. And I bought a 40 amp hour plus DC to DC charger, and it has been sweet. Like, I've got nothing to knock about it. Originally I wired it wrong. I put a 30 amp fuse instead of a 50, so I did have a few dramas there, and I don't know where I got the impression I needed to put a 30 amp fuse in there, but I guess that's why you read the manuals. But yeah, it's been sweet. I can't knock it. I don't know enough about it, so I'm not really going to run you through it. There's plenty of videos on the Enerdrive website about them in detail and how to set them up. So I've watched those and I've set it up to my needs and my battery capabilities of how much charge can be inputted at different rates and stuff like that. So I've sort of set that, so I don't really want to touch it and then change it again. So but they are a cool unit. You literally punch your numbers in that you need, and then you set it, and then you literally can just walk away. And that's the great thing about that unit in particular. I'll take you around there and show you it. But if you do any kind of long distance touring of any kind, and you're on the road for long hours and you've got quite a heavy draw on your batteries, definitely get one of these and put them in your vehicle. So currently there's 3 different channels. So you've got I can't actually remember what the channel 1 is, but channel 2 is your car, I'm pretty sure. So you're charging off the alternator if the channel 2 is flashing, and channel 3 is your solar. So currently you can see that my lithium battery has got 13.3 volts of charge, and I'm pretty sure it's putting in like 1 to 1.1 amps because the battery's actually full. So yeah, and I wired it up so I've got the 2 Anderson plugs, so if I do ever decide to take the canopy off, it's quick and easy. I can pull them off, or if I need to take the solar panels off for whatever reason, I can just unplug it and it's happy days. It's quick and easy. And all the wires, they go, you know, up into the bottom of the unit, and they've got this little face cover on there, so it's all hidden quite nicely. So in the back of the canopy, I've got the 80-litre fridge, just a King's drawer, which is sweet. Can't knock it. Again, it's another King's product, but for my use, it's been fine. And then I've got my sort of electrical sockets, a couple of USBs in there, and then just a cigarette socket there. And then I've just got these little gauges and readers, and a light switch for my interior lights, which I can change to red or to the white, and that's what I run on both. So if there's pretty bad mozzies, I'll change this front one to red, and then I'm sort of happy with that because there's no mozzies around. But under this wing kit is where I store my battery and the fuse box. Sorry, pardon me. So the battery that I went with, again, was from the same place that sort of sold me the solar controller. And this was the last battery they had in stock of Enerdrive. And now I actually got this for a really good deal, so I can't really complain too much about it. But in hindsight, these batteries are not sold anymore, and they've actually brought out a different kind of battery which have a few more features inside and on top of this front face here, which would have actually helped me out in the early stages of me setting up this whole setup, but that's in another video in itself. So yeah, I'm running currently a 100 amp lithium battery, and now the Enerdrive batteries have like a 25% cutoff before they basically they won't drain 100% of the battery, and I'm pretty sure that's just to save the cells and whatever. Like I said before, I don't know enough about it, but that's what I've sort of read, and that's what when I've been talking to the Enerdrive guys on the phone, that's what they've told me. But so far, like you see before, like my batteries are sitting on 100%, and it's literally 9 o'clock in the morning. And my freezer never turns off, ever. And when it's full to the brim, you know, like I can throw things in there, and you know, once the fridge gets to like a certain point, it cuts off and then starts back up again, cuts off, starts back up again. That obviously puts a load on the battery, but still the battery is running sweet. Sort of modifications that I've done is in the other wing kit on this side is I've put the ARB air compressor, the twin air compressor in there, and that's actually hooked up to the car's battery, and it's just run under the chassis and then comes down through the back window there. Now there is actually supposed to be a cover on here, but it kept kept interfering with the carpet, so I took it off just for ease. But I'm very happy with that. Like, I can plug it in there, leave the car running, flick it on, and happy days, away we go. So yeah, and I pump my tires up very, very quick. And the problem with having a good air compressor is whenever you've got mates around, they all want to use your air compressor as well because yours is the fastest. But the other downside to everyone trying to tell you go get a bigger and better air compressor, you end up waiting for your mates with the crappy air compressor anyway. But it was just more the fact that I wanted it to be seated in the wing and out of the way. I don't want to have to lift up the bonnet, put on the alligator clips and do the rest of it. It's hidden, it's tucked away, it's clean, and that's what I sort of was going for. Now, you guys can tell me, I don't know, like, I've thought about putting another drawer on top of this drawer, and then I've also thought, since I've sort of got all the lithium set up now, I've actually been thinking I might go away from using the gas cookers and stuff like that and go to induction. Now, everyone seems to be running induction these days, but just changing the back of the setup again just sort of isn't really appealing to me, because I've changed it that many times before. But yeah, I am thinking about putting another drawer in, but it just means more weight, because normally I do run 2 boxes in the back on top of this drawer, and it's just a pain. Like, it's got my 4-wheel drive gear in it, like snatch straps and stuff like that. So if I ever get bogged, I've got to pull a box out and then fish through a box for what I'm actually looking for. Whereas I feel like a drawer is just that much more convenient. You can just pull the drawer out and grab a snatch strap, happy days. And then the second box that I run on top of this box, on top of this drawer, sorry, is like a dry food storage box. And I never pull it out when I go camping because I kind of forget it's there. And I'll end up just buying another thing from a shop if I'm in a local town that I need. I'll end up just buying another one. And then I come home and I go to clean out the back of the car, and then I realize, oh, I've actually got that in there. Like, I didn't need to buy another one. So yeah, I feel like just getting rid of the boxes and just having a drawer. I can dedicate one drawer to like food and one drawer to like my sort of recovery gear. And I feel like that would just clean up this whole back end a bit even more. So yeah, I might actually look at doing that. I keep saying it to myself, I'm going to do it, and then I never do. So it'd be good to see if you guys, you know, attach a photo in the comments or something if you can do that. If you guys have got a tray canopy set up like mine, I just kind of want to see what you guys run. It might just help me out with ideas for mine. But yeah. So I'm pretty much going to wrap this video up here, guys. But if you've got any questions that you want me to answer, put them in the comments below or send them through to me on my Instagram page, and I try and get back to you on there. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe the video, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and hopefully we can keep making this content. We've got a bit of an Exmouth trip planned in August. I'll be towing the boat. There's going to be quite a few of us, I'm pretty sure. There might be more than 15 of us going, so it should be a pretty epic trip. So stay tuned for August. Pretty excited for that one. And I actually might do a little bit of a solo trip when I come back from work next. So in about a month's time. So yeah, stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot coming because I've got a new job, and it's going to give me the ability to sort of do more traveling with the time that I get off. So I'm pretty stoked, and hopefully you guys will be pretty stoked as well. But anyway, I'm going to sign off. So please like, share, subscribe, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Peace.